So you just got the brand new shiny Goku and Bardock, and you're wondering, well, how can I build teams for this character? Well, wonder no longer, look no further. Today's video is specifically for you. Yes, you. I'm pointing at you. You can't see it because I don't have the cam on, but you can imagine it. So today's video is all about this Goku and Bardock. I'm going to show you guys how to build the best teams, in my opinion, for them, for all of their various groups of teams. There's Saiyan, there's Game Original, there's also Sun Family, which, small tangent, Bardock is not a part of Sun Family, which is really funny because now he technically is, but he's not, but he is, because Sun Family originates with Grandpa Gohan, being Son Gohan. This is his family. And if it was Goku's family like Dokkan, they would have both of those characters, Bardock and Son Gohan's lineage. But anyway, moving on. I mean, Son Gohan, Grandpa Gohan is just, he's an adoptive father. It's really Bardock's lineage, but you get the point. It's Sun Family, so Bardock's not in it. All right, moving on. So yeah, we have that. We have Saiyans. We have Game Originals, which is kind of spicy. You're going to see that in a minute. And I'm also going to probably throw them on movies and show a variant of that as well. If this video helps you in any way, be sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Post down below if any of these teams that I offer in this video are ones you're going to use, and if not, let me know what teams you guys are using. I'd like to get a ton of feedback. Let me know, and if there's any way I can help improve these videos, post down below as well. All right, so naturally, Game Originals is here. I'm going to start with Game Originals. This is characters that are, well, Game Original. They're new to Dragon Ball Legends exclusively. And this is kind of interesting because Shallot had a team kind of before, yeah, because he's a Saiyan and he's also versatile with that light typing. You can really put Shallot on any team. So him getting reworked and all of his forms getting a lot better, getting the blue form being, which by the way, I don't think blue is his best form. But anyway, getting all those forms, all that stuff, getting a sparking variation made Shallot a ton better. He is a character that's plug and playable. You can put him on basically any team and he'd be okay, or good to great, right? Depending on which form you choose, situation, blah, blah, blah. And he also had the Saiyan Z ability, Saiyan Tag. So he could have been on Saiyan teams and has been on various Saiyan teams throughout the years. But Game Originals is really fun because now we have characters like this. We also, down the line, if they decide to make some what-if characters like Gogeta and Vegito, whatever, like wonky stuff, which they've shown they can pull characters through a time-space hole, so whatever, why not Gogeta, Vegito? Anyway, this art's really good. If we get some wonky stuff like that, they'll be on this team too, and so Shallot has more of a designated home. So Shallot is the best character other than the new tag that we're going to put on the team, so we're going to start with that, and that's pretty straightforward. Now, here's the funny thing. From here, you can just fill the rest of the team in with Saiyan Z abilities and call it a day. You don't really need any of the characters, but since we're talking about Game Originals, I want to have at least 3 Game Original characters on my team. So there's that. Shout out to Giblet, he's not on my team, but I do want to throw him a bone because prior to Shallot's rework and obviously prior to the tag character release, he was the best and most offensively inclined character in this grouping. If you want to know how to get stars for him and Zaha, those are in the Z2 Metal Exchange shop, by the way. Speaking of Zaha, I would put Zaha here as probably the de facto third that you would want to use. However, I do want to throw a bone to a couple of other characters and mention a few other things. I don't really love the blue with him and Bardock, or him and Goku exclusively, right? I don't really love that a ton. It doesn't matter all that much because you're not really going to be at disadvantages too often because you can go to Bardock, you can go to Shallot, who's neutral versus the entire game. So you do have that. It's just more or less you're never really going to, not often anyway, are you going to be in a position of power with type advantage. So there's that. Anyway, moving on from there, also, by the way, with this setup exclusively, you would probably put Zaha in the lead, so that way he would get Shallot's Z ability, which was just, oh no, they added Game Originals to Shallot. I was like, wait a minute, didn't they change that? Yeah, they did. So you don't need to do that, but you have double HP Z abilities, which, depending on who you ask, is the best thing ever or not the worst. They were like, not the best thing ever. In my opinion, it's kind of just okay, but it is what it is. So I would still leave him on the team, even if I wasn't exclusively trying to use him. Now, the only other characters here are Bulma and the bunch of Saibas. Bulma's a fun character because she has support. Like, she came out for the 1,000 days login, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure this celebration ongoing currently correlates with 2,000 days of logging in. Legends is over 2,000. So I'm over 2,000 days logged in, but they didn't give us anything for it, really. I think they gave us, like, some minor stuff, but no new character. So she offers support here. So allies automatically get a non-cancelable damage increase, some health restoration. Her main ability does a guaranteed paralyze on all enemies, by the way, after 5 counts. Pretty broken stuff. Pretty broken stuff, actually. Like, that ability is broken as hell. The green's a roulette wheel of various effects. She has a fate chance on her blue. But she is power crept. Stats are not great. It is what it is, but you can use her if you want to. So there's that, but I'm not going to include her on my team. Now, the last few characters, this is kind of fun, is just the Saibas. Now, the funny thing is, they work best together, obviously, but some of them are actually kind of okay on this team. Copy Man could be a fun little character to use. Now, if you're using this team, you're doing it with the understanding that this team is like getting it hard carried by the 2 Saiyan characters, right? But shortens ally subcount by 5, plus ally damage, restores ki. Switch here. When this character is on the battlefield, the following effects occur are applied to self when the enemy switches. When the enemy switches out there versus this character, restores everybody's health, draws a green card next, gives allies more damage. Also, when this character enters the battlefield, gets some damage from cut, but when this character is defeated, the following effects are applied to all enemies, where they take 40% more damage and minus 80% to the ki recovery and inflicts 5 subcounts. That's kind of shenanigans right there. The green card here randomly destroys a card and randomly draws a new one and gives allies more damage. So just utility stuff like that. So you could use a couple of these Saibas. I think these are the 2 that I would more or less, I don't really love the range type. I don't like the blue element. This guy I think had endurance, right? Or no, I'm getting this guy confused with the boy from, what's his name? From Frieza Force. Damn it, I forget his name. What's his name? It's not a pool, is it? It's not. God, I forget his name. Which one is it? Let me know. So anyway, when he enters the battlefield, he draws a strike. That's solid. So you can use some of these other effects here, but I would probably most likely stick to Copy Man and then fill out the Z abilities for the rest of the team and call it a day. The problem is they don't have game original Z abilities. So if you're asking me which would be the best iteration, it would probably just be something like this, where you do that and then you fill out with Saiyan Z abilities and you put Zaha in the leader slot. But unfortunately, this is more of a niche team. You're not really looking for that, but that's something that you would want to keep earmarked for the future, where we get some more fun iterations of teams. Now let's pull up Sun Family. Like I said, actually no, let's do the Team Bardock next. Team Bardock is another super duper straightforward team, and there we go. That's it. You can also throw Tora on as an option because he's not the worst thing. He's a support character. Oh no, he's a melee character. He has some support built into his kit, I believe, though. Or melee, actually that's on Fasha. So he does have neutrality, as you see there. He has a cover change, plus strike damage, destroy all of your enemy's strike cards, reduce enemy's ki, pretty solid. The following effects occur when the battle starts, gets 80% damage, 40% cut for 50 counts. After the enemy's attack is over, there it is. I was like, I'm pretty sure he had some support in his kit. I just didn't see the trait for it. Plus strike damage for all allies. And then plus blast damage for Team Bardock, and plus health restoration. So really strong on the new tag character. They put these qualifiers in here for Team Bardock, trying to keep Saiyans away, but now we have a solid character for Team Bardock finally. Sword and Zone subcat, every time another battle member is hit with an enemy strike or blast, activates 10 times, and then he covers in with some extra cut and then also neutral. So solid effects. You can use him if you really want to as a option. Now, the reason why I'm using Fasha over him is because she's actually a range character with some really solid support. And right here, she has extra damage, ally health, and gives her entire team nullify cover change. Her main ability is just insane. Like, this is crazy stuff, and that's the main reason you're using her. She does do other things in her kit. So she draws a green card, gets draw speed, extra cut. She's a range character, but I don't really mind that on this team because she's really a support type, but it is what it is. Applies the following effects itself when this character evades an enemy's attack, restores ki, gets blast damage, but we don't care about that. When she switches out, she restores ki and gives Team Bardock allies some health back, and when she's defeated, she gives damage. So that's fun. That's really fun stuff. And then Bardock, I actually... So I don't know his details, admittedly, for when he got his Zenkai, because that just came out. I haven't even done it yet. Like, I don't know his full-on details. So I'm just gonna assume he is the next best character on his team because there's not a lot of other options. So there's that. And for the last couple of slots, we're gonna plug in you and most likely you, and we're gonna call it a day. All right, shout out to Red Bardock, Zenkai win. But yeah, I really like that Goku has that Team Bardock tag and that we have a new Team Bardock character so we can use the Fasha effectively. And we're going to use a top row, like I said. Those 3 characters I think would synergize super duper well, especially because Yellow Bardock starts popping off when allies get defeated as well. So let's pull up Sun Family, but before we do, if you haven't already, now is the perfect time to hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you happen to be new. Alright, so Sun Family is a really fun team with a lot of top-end talent. I mean, look, these are all new characters, relatively new characters or new characters that we recently got. And all of these characters in their own rights are really good, and some of them are the best characters in the game. So, there's that. But I'm going to stick to more of a melee-based team. And so I'm going to give Gohan here the nod as the melee red for the team overall. I think with the synergy he would have with the Bardock works out pretty well too. I like this core a lot. So we're going to start with those 2. And so the last option is up to you, but I kind of like that. I'm going to just say it. You got to put Gohan in the lead spot but I kind of like that a lot. You got every color represented except for what? Yellow? You got a purple, a blue, a red, and a green. Yeah, every color except for yellow. I kind of like that a lot. It feels really good. That would feel really good. Is there any other character I would probably consider? I think that you can do a hyper aggressive team where you drop him off. I don't want to say hyper aggressive, but a more support oriented team that would make the tag Bardock and Goku pop off and plug in Pan. I think you could do that effectively and it would work pretty well. I think he's a far better character, but my philosophy a lot of times is to try to have a utility character in my teams, and that would be Pan in this case. Gohan does have some utility and support too, but actually he provides some blast support and stuff that we don't really care about a ton on this team, but nonetheless, I do think that that's a viable thing that you can do, and it would work out really, really well for you. The only problem I would have with that is running into maybe like a Janemba. So what I would actually do is I would keep both on the team most likely. And the problem with Pan here is that the Z abilities are still not great. In particular, she's missing out on some, but it will be okay. We can just put the Gohan in the leader slot, use Pan situationally. And this character's 6-star Z ability is special move Saiyan's Game Original Sun Family. Okay, so all these characters, you just need 6-star on them and everything works. Because they all have Sun Fan. So you just need 6-star. You're good. Don't worry about it. Just get your character 6-star. You're good. Just do it. Everything's fine. Just do it. So there's that. And how would I clean this up a little bit? Like I said, the red choice is up to you. Now, the problem with Pan herself is that she doesn't really provide a ton to the rest of the team in terms of her Z ability overall, because these aren't movie characters or hybrids, so what they would be getting is just a crit unless it's Gohan, basically, and, you know, there's that. But you can maybe just use Gohan, call it a day. Now, you also don't necessarily need Goku and Frieza if you don't want to have them on the team, too. I would probably stay away from that choice, but you could do that if you really wanted to. I would probably stay away from it, for the record. But you don't really need Goku and Frieza on the team. Now, it depends on what you want to do in terms of the last character, because there's several options that you have there. Now, let's pull up yellow and purple in particular, because those are the two groups I would be looking for. So, because the other three, like red, green, blue, that's fine. We would look for a yellow and purple. I would strongly consider that. I think he would be a fine fit for that team. I would also kind of consider this low-key. There are a few characters that kind of screw this Gohan over that are in the meta now, but I think that in the right matchups and the right situations, he could be useful. But I do think that the best third would be there. Now, how would we fill out this team? In a hypothetical world, I would have that Gohan at 6-star. Wouldn't have to put him in the lead, but I will right now anyway, for the record. We'll put him there, and we'll also grab some Zenkai buffers. Now, the fun thing is we have two blue Saiyans, technically, even though Frieza's not a Saiyan. That's the blue side, but Goku still gets it because, yeah, legends, everyone. So we'll do that, and now all of a sudden, ooh, baby, we're looking good now. Oh, we're looking real good. So we got that Saiyan-based Blue Z ability, double the value right there. So we're going to take that right there. We could also go a little bit further in this Zenkai buffing realm if we really wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do from here is I'm actually going to grab the red Goku Kakarot, and we're going to put him on the team. He's not showing up because not right grouping, right? Legends Limited. That's what I was like. I feel like there's more Zenkais I wasn't seeing, right? I was looking for Zenkais. In fact, let me go back to blue. Yeah, I think that Goku's still the choice. Like I could pull some other stuff and do some other stuff like Pan, right? But I'm not going to. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I like that a lot. The Goku does not Zenkai buff the Gohan, if I recall correctly. It's Red Saiyans, but we still get the HPZ ability, and I'm solid with that. And so the last choice is up to you. It's a flex spot. You can either have a good fourth option, or you can do another Zenkai buff on the team. That's up to you. Now, what I would probably do is probably do this. Just for more defense, well-rounded team, because you have the double offense, the abilities, you got the attack defense splits on the top LF characters. I would probably do that to just shore up the team. That would also give the new tag double Zenkai buffs. You can also look for a purple Zenkai buffer or red Zenkai buffer for this team as well. Although the red ones are kind of like, meh, because what's going to happen is the Z ability doesn't fit great, right? Because he's just a blast-based Z ability. You can do this, and that would help out a little bit more too, because you'd get the strike attack and I think blast defense. Anyway, so that's a look at Sun Family and a melee variation exclusively. It does have a lot of win conditioning though. I would probably, like I said, my philosophy is not to use the triple win condition characters. I would probably like to use Pan on that team. I think using Pan would be really, really, really strong, for the record. And so you just build what I just had and flip it with Pan. All right, moving on. And by the way, if you flip Pan in, The cool thing is if you were to build the team with Pan with what I just had, instead of Gohan, you put the other Zenkai buffers back in these spots. This spot becomes open because you don't need that HP Z ability, and it can be for another Zenkai buffer or Z ability for your team. Okay, moving on now. Let's go ahead and take a look at, we looked at game originals, we looked at movies. No, we haven't looked at movies yet. We're going to go to that in a minute. We looked at Sun Family, game originals, and we looked at, that's it, isn't it? Team Bardock. So that's basically everything. So I'm gonna look at Saiyans here. Let's look at Saiyans. So Saiyan is a fun group too because there's a lot of talent here. A lot of talent here. So first inclusion would be VB. I like VB synergy with them. Honestly, if you wanted to do something like this, I think that would work out really well. You got the Rising Rush for utility. You've got the Indestructible. So a lot of times you would like to have, like I said, a utility character on your team, and that's still true. I'm going to clean this up in a minute. But I also put a lot of value in Indestructible. It's making it to where it feels like you don't really need to have Endurance or Revival. But you notice there was that one Sun Family variant that had the Future Gohan on that team. One thing I forgot to mention was that Indestructible with the Endurance is really, really strong, right? It's similarly to having Endurance and Revival. So keep that in mind too. But you have a ton of utility and offense here. Now, a fun thing that you can probably do is plug him in. You don't necessarily need Vegito Blue. You can plug this guy in and get some of the same stuff I was talking about. He's really good. I don't have him Zenkai'd yet, but he is really, really good from what I've seen and just obviously on paper. So that's another option that you have with building this team. Some of the other characters that we kind of brought up earlier are also options throughout the various tag groups that we've already hit on throughout the video. But I really, really like that. Now, I've had Goku and Frieza on a few teams. Now, I'm going to just knock them off and also throw out there the idea of what you would do if you don't happen to have them. Now, again, I've tried to stick pretty true to having a full melee-based team, so I'm not really touching many ranged characters. There also aren't a lot of like utility characters in a lot of the groups that we've looked at today. So what I would like to have in this spot is either a purple or a yellow character. I think that would fit pretty well. Now, relative to the meta, the fun thing is relative to the meta, you have basically all the major colors already covered. So that's where like I don't have to worry too much about it. So this, I don't love this guy being a ranged character. I do not love that, but I do think that the double endurance on this setup could be pretty strong. You have good color synergy, indestructible. So like I think this setup could be really, really good. But I'm gonna just knock him off because, like I said, I don't really love that. I do, however, really, really like the cover rescue. Now I want to pull this guy up because I mentioned him, I believe, earlier. I'm pretty sure he had some locking. He has some support, but I'm pretty sure he has some locking for GT. Plus one of the amount if there are 2 GTs. Yeah, so he doesn't get the second cover change, but he still gets 1. You can make do with 1. He has everything else you need in this kit. He's actually still really good in my opinion. Everything else you would need in this kit I think is fine there. But let me go ahead and do a little bit of research and I'll pull up a few other options. Yeah, I went through it and I came to the conclusion that I really like this setup a lot. Like I actually really like this setup. You have double Zenkai buffs in the Vegeta. He will get a little bit less, but you'll get the HP as well. You got a little bit of a weaker power crept Z ability on that Super Saiyan 3 Goku, but that's fine because you still have a Z ability on the board, and you also do have the Zenkai ability, and then also you have the Z ability double attack from the Blue Goku, and then the Zenkai ability too. Now, my problem with this setup is that it's extremely similar to one that we pulled up earlier, which, you know, it does have a character that, so basically it's the same team as the Sun Family team, except, in fact, like beat for beat, bar for bar, except the red is different, right? So that's the only real thing that's kind of changing off here. I know a lot of people don't have Goku and Frieza or won't really like Goku and Frieza being on the list all too much. And that's where things get kind of interesting because Goku and Frieza, in my opinion, like I don't think they're the best character in the game anymore, but I do still think that they pop off like crazy, have really, really strong utility and support. Now, what I would do if I did not have them and I was looking for a purple for the record is I would probably plug in this guy and I would put him in the leader slot for the record. That's how that would look. Now, you would have to maybe jig it a little bit differently, like take him off, do a couple other things, but I would probably do that instead because I think that having him in his gauge is really strong. However, my issue with this guy and why I've exclusively not really put him on lists is because he gets blown up. Like, mine is just the base star level that you get him at, but I've seen higher stars and he just gets blown up too. I blow them up in PvP, so that's my thing, right? But his gauge is still really, really strong. He does still have some really well-aged stuff, like crazy age stuff, despite being basically a year old. And I wouldn't really consider too many other characters in this group. Like, there are some solid Zenkais or some characters that release around that time period, like this guy or them, I guess, that are okay, but I don't really love actually including another green period, like, at all, because we already have that covered with Bardock. This guy, his revive, I mean, if you really want to, you know, things like that. They're really, really strong, but again, I've tried to avoid, you know, using same colors, which we do have green on the other team. Despite Vegeta, or Goku in this case, being a reverse green, it's a little different. But I also have tried to stick to one theme, right? Melee versus ranged. So more or less sticking to the philosophies that I have. So the thing with this team is that it's a little bit, actually now that I look at it, a lot of their teams are really just generic, kind of straightforward. We haven't really had that with a lot of the options that we've had represented in the video, because we just have the same good options across the board. Like, there are other characters that, like, I initially had Vegito Blue. There's a world that you can do something like this, where you put, let's do this, I'll move you there and then do this. Really a roundabout way of doing that. You can do that and fill out the rest of the team with Fusion Warrior, Zenkai Buffer, Z-ability characters, and make it a Fusion Warrior team, basically, and put them on. And then if you do that, you have that top trio, which would be really strong, by the way, and you have every color represented except for yellow, and you would also have most of the Ultra abilities except for one slot represented, so you get 25 out of 30. And I actually think that could be pretty strong, too. I just think the other composition I had is better. More utility, more offense, and stuff like that. There are just other characters that are kind of stragglers that are okay characters, like him, just kind of okay characters within these groupings that you could potentially, if you really wanted to and looking for an option, could plug in. Like, he's really good too. I just don't really want to have another blue on my team personally, but he's a solid option to use in your team, and I think he does have neutrality. He's got a ton of traits, good lord. Special cover, nullification. Looks like, based on the traits anyway, I'm not going to read his kit. Based on the traits, he doesn't have neutrality. So actually, that wouldn't be great. But it's not the worst thing, because you would just flip Goku to Bardock and you would make up the deficiency there. So there's a lot of options for a Saiyan team, but a lot of the options are quote-unquote mid, right? They're not great options. Okay, let's pull up movies. And movies is kind of a fun one, because we'll pull up Sagas and movies, because Sagas and movies are like the two best teams in the game right now. And the fun thing with Sagas and movies is that, like, both of these teams have characters that are probably better than this character on their teams, right? Like, I think this character is just flat out better, at least from what I've seen. I haven't really done a lot yet. Like, I haven't done a ton of testing, so, you know, I don't want to be too critical yet. But they also want, like, a ranged team. So we're going to plug in ranged characters and kind of call it a day. And that trio instead is probably better than any team you're probably going to put Goku and Frieza, or Goku and Bardock on right now. So there's that. So I'm not really going to delve too deep into here, but if you were to try to build a team for them, what would it look like? Very briefly, very quickly. There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go. Could you do some fun stuff? Yeah, you can do some fun stuff. You can do some stuff like that. Jiren's a ranged character, but you can still plug him in there. He wouldn't be as good. I don't like doing that a ton, like I've said a billion times in the video. Are there other options? Yeah, there's a couple other options, but these are all relatively new characters. I'm not really going to lean on them too much outside of, like, the main heavy hitters like these guys, but that's what you would be doing, and you'd be filling out the rest of the team. Is that worth it, though? Because you're missing out on some really strong options. No, I don't think so. All right, let's move over to the movies team, and that will be the final one that we look at. And the reason why I look at these two teams is because they're the main headliners and teams that have been buffed the most recently. All right, so Janemba. Is Janemba better? I think you can make an extremely strong case that Janemba's better. But again, I want to reserve judgment until I see them more in action. But for now, we'll take Janemba off the team for the purpose of today's video. And the first ally I'm grabbing is none other than Gotenks, excuse me. I'm putting Gotenks on the team. Color synergy is awesome. Those three colors together just in general fit perfectly like a glove. And also, I love having another endurance character alongside them. I really like having, like, similar again to revive endurance combinations. I really love having that combination on the team where you can do that. Now, what would the last character be? You can do some funny, some shenanigans. You can do some shenanigans here. Revive indestructible endurance. That's a timer count game. The game is going to the timer count team. That's what that is. But no, I think what you really do is you grab him, you grab Pan, you leave Goku and Bardock in the lead, and then the last slot's flex. It could be whoever you want, whatever you want. You could put a Zenkai buffer here, you could put whatever you want in that spot, but that's what you do for the most part. And it winds up being not Piccolo but Gohan in that team most likely. It could also be Pan, like I've talked about earlier. And that's pretty much what you call it. Now, the fun thing is with like this team and the colors and stuff is that like Beast Gohan has an argument to be the blue that you would want to use too. I don't really know that Piccolo or Pikkon has the argument as the green, but like there's strong blues here. And not to say that those characters aren't better than Blue Beast, because they may or may not be. That's not the point. The point is the way that the rest of the team shapes up. Oh, I actually like that. I actually think I would really like Magenta instead of Piccolo on that top row. I would really like that. No, but I think the Revive is just... The final counter hits like a truck, though, but I think the Revive is more valuable. Oh, I would like that, though. I would like that. No, it's just these front two and Gohan. That's what it is. And then the flex option for Pan if you want it. But then you do keep Piccolo just in case you need him. Just in case, I guess. And then you fill out the last spot, like I said, flex, whatever you want. So I hope this was helpful. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you were new. And I will see you all in the next one.